Right, let's proceed with our little kingfisher. It is requiring a little bit of attention in areas. I have got a medium-size diamond burr which I am working dry, just because sometimes it ends up a little bit brighter, and also we've already cut into the surface, so it's going to cut into the surface much easier than if it was on a brand new surface. Just picking up areas that maybe need a little bit of detail, a little bit of highlight. It's like a little painting, you're just adding to it. Remember, I have not gone deep in this work. It's very much surface engraved. Here I am turning the glass because it's more comfortable to proceed with what I want to do next. You've got more control if you're pulling it towards you, or pushing it away actually. I am referring constantly to the picture that I'm working from, and I'm looking at little highlights, little shadings, little features that help bring the kingfisher to life. Here is a rather old rat's tail burr. It has diamond all the way down the sides, and so once the very, very sharp top starts to wear down, you're going to run that against a spinning stone or a spinning diamond, and that just wears it down a little bit more so that you can get to the fresh diamonds. And the fresh diamond coating is all the way down. You can see it. And now I have, even though it's a little bit broader than it originally was, I now have fresh, sharp diamonds to work with, and pulling it down, creating, and pushing it up as well, creating little effects, little feathery effects on the belly. It makes such a difference. Whereas its belly was otherwise flat and white, now it has texture. And as I say, it's not deep, it is more the lighting, the shade of the engraving. And it's a tiny bit deeper than the rest of the surface. Here we have a large rubber disc. Now there are many rubber discs that you can use which will produce a similar sort of effect. And running this sideways, pulling it towards me, I'm creating slightly darker areas. Bits of shadow here and there. You will notice that it will leave the tiny white lines which are ever so slightly deeper. So this being quite a wide hard rubber, it's not going to go into the very fine lines that are ever so slightly deeper. Therefore, it makes them look as though they are protruding a little bit. They're standing out nicely. It instantly creates depth. The only thing you've got to be really, really careful of, and that is the outside, the background. You absolutely do not want to let that rubber burr run into the background, because it will leave a hue on the glass. Now here I have a soft grey rubber burr, which I'm actually going to use just with my hands. This way it produces a very, very gentle softening effect. What have I got there? Aha! We're back to the old rat's tail, which did look like it needed a little bit of sharpening, but obviously I was happy with it. Probably didn't have my glasses on. Yes, I did have my glasses on, and in fact it's working fine. I have spotted a little area that has got no engraving, and I don't like that because it is a hole in the image, and even the dullest little bit of engraving needs to be there just to bring it all together. There we go. And for that I've used a little white Arkansas stone. You can see the little eyeball is nice and shiny. Right, what have I got here? I've got rather an old green stone burr. Now, this is a sort of a half-tony, kind of rough, speckly sometimes. It depends. It's grit. It will cut into the glass really quite well, but at the same time, it will be easy to polish it a little bit to give it different shades. And so I like to use this for the wood effect, the branch underneath the bird. And so I'm sort of pressing and then not pressing and then pressing and then not pressing, and this will just help to add a little bit of texture. It's just random. I have no idea what kind of branch it is. It doesn't matter. It's a Daisy Pike branch. You are the creator of your little branches. Preferably you don't want to see any remaining outline, even though we've done the outline with I think I must have used a white Arkansas there. The outline is dull, but we don't want to see it. We can make our own edges, and it probably will be shaded underneath anyway. But building up a nice little bit of texture there. You can see I have left a little blank area only because I don't want to go over the tail. Whoops. Interesting. And I will make sure that that is nicely blended in, I'm sure. I like to do something different, like take the picture right down to the base. This bit of wood is starting from the very base of the goblet, which is rather nice. Why not? Makes it a little bit more solid rather than just floating in the air. Right, back to the soft grey rubber, which I was using by hand earlier on, and I'm now using it in the drill and just shading here and there, mainly in the sort of underside, but thereabouts. I mean, after all, this piece of wood, this little branch is not bright. It's quite dull, and we don't want it taking our attention away from the Kingfisher. You can see though that with this burr in the drill does make it very much more a darker shade than if you're using it in your fingers. But if you were doing a portrait or a lady's face, for example, and you want to shade her cheeks and you know, down her neck, if you were to hold it in your hand, it's really nice and soft and gentle. I see now I have got the large hard rubber disc now, and this will create slightly darker areas. It'll just pick up the little protruding bits of engraving, leaving anything that's slightly deeper. Now we've got some nice texture going on that branch. Of course, you can add a little bit of highlight on the top of the branch. It's quite a while since I've done this, and I actually can't remember if I did add highlight or not. Let's see. What have I got? The green stone again. Looks like I might be. Yes, I'm just picking up again bits here and there. Just highlighting a little bit. Not so much under the body, you really got to leave the shading under the body. This is a really gnarly old branch. Right, what have I got next? Let's see. Right, we've got the green stone again. Not sure what I'm going to do with it. Oh, okay. That's what I'm going to do with it. Right, here we have the old rat's tail. If I just bring it into sight, there we go. As I mentioned earlier, I thought that it was looking a little bit blunt, so I'm just taking off the top again, just to bring it down to some fresh diamond dust around the edge. You can see it's got a flat top now, so when I hold it on the side, it will create quite a sharp line. I'd say that rat's tail was probably at least twice that long when it started its life. And here I am just adding in its little claws, going relatively deep actually. So now I've gone back to using the water. This is to help lubricate the glass and make the cutting easier. Would help if I was dripping actually on the engraving, but sometimes you know, you kind of forget you've got it in your hand. But as long as you can pick up the water from nearby and just rub it on, usually stays on nicely. As I say, refer to your picture all the time at this stage for these last few tweaks. Got my greenstone out again. Obviously what I've done is my little claws were sticking out a little bit too much below, and so I am making the branch a little bit fatter, and I will be repolishing that again. And because I've made that area fatter, I've got to make the base area fatter. And back to the soft grey rubber, just to soften that yet again. See, the glass was still a little bit wet. That's all right. I don't usually use water when I'm working with the rubbers. It does make them wear out a little bit more, and they don't need water. Right, I have got a very old rubber disc. That's a lovely old black one that is really quite hard and very effective. And I like the fact that it's a smaller one, it's an older one, and it's just going to pick up some final dark shadows. I'm turning the glass because I really do want to be using this on its side rather than pulling the whole thing towards me, because it's likely to go over the edges, and as I said before, I don't want that because you will leave a mark on the glass. If you do go over the edge, just make your branch fatter or add another little branch or put a few leaves. Right, here I've got another rat's tail, slightly different type. I've just grabbed it, whether I intended that one or not. It doesn't matter. What I want to do here is just highlight the little bits of feathery effect at the bottom there. What this is doing as well is really showing the tail is very much on the top of the branch. It's not blended with the branch, which you don't want. The branch is in the background. Just adding a few little details again to the face. You could say, well, where do you stop? Where do you stop? But quite honestly, I always find plenty more to do. And then I tell you, when I find even more is when I take photographs. Then I look at the photographs and I think, oh my goodness, yes, I've left something else out, which I didn't see at the time. Very important to sign and date your work. I just put the year with my name. Of course, my married name is King, but I do sign and will always sign Leslie Pike, as it is my professional name. Just using, as usual, a little old kitchen towel, nice and soft, nothing abrasive. You can use a bit of rubbing alcohol to clean your engraving if you like. I think that's quite a darling little bird. It's very popular. Beginning of the year, I had 3 different commissions for kingfishers.
There you go, there's the end of yet another little commission for a customer. Very much surface engraved, kingfisher, and a lovely little goblet. It's hand blown glass, not lead crystal, that's glass. But you can get all the shading, all the depth and effect just by surface engraving. Signature on the side. It's always important to keep your signature relatively subtle and small. Funny enough, I quite often engrave on the base, to be honest, but because it's like a little painting, if you like, I thought I'd put the signature next to the bird. A collector once told me at an exhibition that they like to look for the signature. So it's never a good idea to put it blasting into the front and it takes your eye off the work. Hope you enjoyed that. Until the next one.